Welcome back to another episode of Naturally Toned. Thank you so much for coming back. And if it's your first time, welcome. Today we're going to talk the things them as I always do, and we're getting into catfishing in the workplace. Now, I don't know about other countries, but in Jamaica, getting a job is not the easiest. So when you finally find a place that sees your resume and is impressed, you're just like, oh, take me, take me. Once the money good, take me now. But there are some things you need to look out for. There's so many red flags that you don't even realize because you're so blinded by the benefits. So I'm going to get you prepared by telling you the questions that you need to be asking in these interviews and the answers that might seem a little shaky that should make you think twice before saying yes. Full disclaimer, guys. Everything I talk about in this video is from my personal experiences as well as people who are around me. So nobody take it too personal. Nobody put my problem on your head. So when we cut the chattings, I will get into that video, yeah. So they have grilled you, asked you everything, your work history, your strengths and weaknesses. Them put you through the ringer and think for all the questions that you need for answer. Now it's their time to stew. What KPIs are there for my department? And furthermore, what KPIs will I be judged on? And for those who don't know, KPIs mean key performance indicators. These should indicate the performance of your work. So there's always a big goal for you as an employee of a company. However, there's steps to get there. So are those being considered, or is it just the end goal? Is it just the bottom line? You need to know. So question to ask, does my department have a KPI? And if not, do I have a KPI? What are you expecting of me being an employee at this company? First things first, who is interviewing you? Because that says a lot about the company. For example, a company that will have their HR person sitting on that interview, it makes you know, okay, HR is involved in the hiring process. They're genuinely looking for candidates based on what is outlined in the teachings of what HR should really mean. If the HR personnel is not there, red flag number one. It begs the question, if you have issues, who do you run to? Is it always going to be your manager? All right, fine. So HR is not there. What questions should you be asking at the end of the interview? You should ask them for sure, do they have an HR department? And if yes, how many people make them up? You can also ask, is HR involved in the onboarding process? Is HR involved in the termination process? How involved is HR with the well-being of staff as well as the training of staff? Key questions you shouldn't leave out. Another key thing you should be looking out during the interview process is, did it start on time? So they emailed you, they called you, they said, hey, be there at 10 o'clock, sharp. If you were late, they would be looking at you like, oh, this person is so unprofessional. This person is never going to be on time. This person doesn't take the work seriously. So why can't you look at them the same? You told me 10 o'clock and it's now 10:30 and the interview has not begun. And then another big red flag to look out for is that when that interview does start, do they apologize for being late? Do they show any remorse? Or are they just looking at you like, okay, cool. So fine, your interview start late and the interviewer didn't apologize. We've already stepped over that hurdle, but towards the end, you need to be asking them, how important is punctuality to your company? Is there some flexibility with coming in as well as leaving early? Is that allowed? If I leave a little earlier on a day, if I let you know in advance, would that be taken as a departmental day or a vacation day? Or would I be expected to work back the hours? As far as KPIs go, you have qualitative and quantitative KPIs. So your qualitative KPIs are really based on opinion. So it's based on your manager observing you, seeing certain things that you do, and then from there, they'll form an opinion. So that could be your creativity, your innovation, the way in which you treat others, right? But then you have quantifiable metrics, such as if you're in sales and you have a target that you need to make, or if you're supposed to be making a certain number of calls per day. Those are quantitative metrics that they use to evaluate you. So you want to ask them as well in your interview, are these metrics qualitative or quantitative? And if they're both, which ones are qualitative and which ones are quantitative? The ones that are qualitative, those are the ones that are the red flags, because you want to know how many people share the opinion of what is being said about you. Is it just your manager? Is it your manager and supervisor? Is it your peers, manager, supervisor, and HR? Those things are very important. It lets you know how you need to play the field when you go in on your first day. One question I always ask in interviews that takes them by surprise. I say, how long has your newest employee been here? And how long has your most senior employee been here? The reason why I ask this is because if they have someone who's been working there for under 3 months, then you know that they're in a hiring phase and they're really looking to hire new people, which can be a green or a red flag, right? And then if you ask how senior your most senior person is, and they say, oh, 15 years, 10 years, anything above 5 years, then you can say to yourself, green or a red flag, because green flag means that these people are loyal to the company and they see value in it. That's why they're there. Or red, because them just as bad as everybody else and the culture just not gonna change. So, you got to weigh those responses very carefully. For your own self development, it's important to ask what workshops or training will be offered in my role or even for my department, or by extension, the whole company, right? If they say they don't offer workshops and training, you're expected to go out there and do your own thing, red flag. But if they say they do, okay, green flag. We're not in a bad position. But then you need to follow it up. Your question should be, how frequent are workshops? How frequent is training? And also, is it training because of a need that a staff may have, or is it just a routine training? Are these training and workshops accredited? Because at the end of the day, when you move on, or even when you look back at your years at this place, you want to say that you're leaving better than you started, right? So don't leave those questions out. Another question that I ask that throws them out of the loop is, for the position that I'm going to fill, what is your turnover rate like? Now, this is where employees are looking at you like, oh, you ask that? Oh, yeah, ask it. Just take the work and go on. But you want to know that, because that is a red flag for me. If you say every year you're changing out my role, then it could be that maybe you're the toxic one, not the employee. Or it could mean that I just have to work 2 times harder than anyone else who has been there. You want to ask that. You want to ask what the turnover rate is. And if it's high, you want to ask why. And if it's low, you still want to ask why. Because if it's low, that means you had loyal people and you let them go. So that means there must be an issue, right? So be sure to ask that question. It's a good one. So it's not a new company. It's been around for a while. And they're saying to you they're building out a brand new team. Red flag. You want to ask them, okay, did you have an existing team before? If yes, what issues were you having with the existing team? If they say, okay, no, we're building out a new team because it's a new product, or they're changing out their structure or whatever it is, then you want to ask them, okay, how many people are you employing to the team? And what levels are you employing for? Because maybe you could get a higher role. Or also you want to know who would be supervising you. Is it also a brand new person? What would that mean for your contribution to the bottom line? Gotta be careful. Regardless of the size of the operation, never forget to ask this question. What resources will you be giving me to complete my job? You want to know things like, if you're in a marketing position, would you be getting a laptop? Would you be getting Photoshop? Would you have access to even Canva? You have to ask these things. If you're doing sales, do I get a laptop? Do I get a CUG, which is a company phone, by the way? Do I even get credit if I have to use my own phone? And if it is, I have to use my own devices, what are the restrictions? Because there is such a thing as company guidelines, and you don't want them to catch you slipping. It's an extremely basic question, but you would be surprised the different responses you get from different employers. You want to know, is there provisions for lunch? Do you have a lunch card, or do you have a canteen? Do you have somewhere for staff to sit and eat during the middle of the day when they need to take that 1 hour break? You also want to know, is there a kitchenette? So that if you need to make little tea and bus gas in the morning, you're not going to drop down dead. You want to know. Also, if your job is a traveling job or a job that requires you to do or attend a lot of functions or executions, you want to ask them, is per diem provided for staff? Per diem is the stipend that's given to staff when they have to go on company related executions. You want to know, is per diem offered to staff and how much is the per diem? And when is it paid out? Is it paid out in cash or is it paid out at the end of the month? At them time, they stress them out. For a lot of companies, you would assume the pay cycle is the 25th. Some companies go as far as the first. You want to know, especially if you have loans outstanding, because those dates can clash. You don't want your car loan to be due on the 25th and you're getting paid on the 1st. Late payment, no nice, and it look good on your credit. It look good on your credit. So you want to ask, what is your pay cycle? If it is that I take over my sick leave or my vacation leave, how is it taken out of my pay? Do I get a notice beforehand so that I know how many days I have left? Is it easy for me to check those days so that I can decide how I can go? How is it paid? Is it by cash, check, bank transfer? These things, very important. So the company has listed so many benefits. So they've told you they have a health card, they have pension, they have lunch, they have a gas card, they have everything. What you want to know is how or when can I access those? Do I get them from the first day I'm there? Or do I have to pass my probation period first? Because that way you can know if you need to do all your dental checkup and all your work at the old place before you switch over to the new place. And one question that you might get in trouble for, but if you can't ask the interviewer, you can probably check on LinkedIn and see if you can find someone who works there and ask them the question. But you want to know, how is the company performing? Is it in a good position? Because that determines the security of your job. If the company is basically in the dunk, then you know, whoa, I'm going to be penalized for breathing too hard, right? If the company is performing well, then you can know that your contributions would only contribute to that. And your shortcomings can hopefully be worked on as you go along. So you want to know, what shape is the company in? Are you guys in a good position right now? How will my role help with the bottom line? Because no matter what a company says, you see that bottom line there? At that pay JPS and at that pay NWC. So now make them trick you. Last but not least, you want to ask, how is your evaluation process done? Is it done at the end of my 3 months or 6 months, depending on how long the probation is? And who's involved in that evaluation process? Is it my manager, supervisor, peers, HR? That's very important. And you also want to know, what are you being judged on? Is there a document that's dedicated to my role, or is there just a general document that is used across the team? Very important questions. And there you have it, guys. All the questions that I asked to really understand the company that I'm going into next. Feel free to use any of these questions. And as for interviewers, look out. You better have the answers, because those who watch my videos are coming prepared. Thank you so much for watching another video. And let me know below if you have questions that I missed out that you think would be good to add to my register. Let me know. Let me know. I have to look out for one another, or for look out for one another. So have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.